Julia, as you just mentioned, we're going to day 11 of this massive manhunt. Two convicted killers still on the loose this morning, David Sweat and Richard Matt. You can see the road still closed here behind me. The Clinton County District Attorney tells CBS 6 the search in this area will continue today. A big question on a lot of people's minds is why stay in this area if the search continues to come up empty? Julia, Chicolo will go before a judge today for his detention hearing at 3:30 this afternoon at the U.S. District Court here in Springfield behind me. And we're learning more about this individual from court documents that we received. You can see them here. And in these detailed court documents, there's even images of what the FBI found inside Chicolo's home. It is brisk this morning. You do not want to be out here. Take a look. The snow is coming down at a really fast pace. It's definitely accumulating with these frigid temperatures. You can see over here, if you take a look at all those parked cars on the side of the road, if those people are getting in their cars this morning, they better give themselves some extra time. Anyway, you slice it, it has been a rough winter, just as we heard from Craig and as you just mentioned, Liz. And, well, it's storms like this requires all hands on deck from the state all the way down to local municipalities. And this all happened around 4:45, 5 a.m.?
Correct.
All right, great. Thanks so much. Saw the van, wanted to wave you down. So thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. So you just heard it was just confirmed by the coroner here this morning that on Railroad Street in Mechanicville, a pedestrian was struck. You have to have something to say. These are very serious charges. You're pleading not guilty. Talk to us.
I have no further comment.
Now, police are also telling us that it is unclear whether or not the suspect is in the house at this time, but we are still hearing them call on the megaphone for a Jeremiah, asking him to come out with no weapon, with his hands up, saying no harm will be done. This is where a triple shooting happened around 1:15 this morning. 3 people were injured. 1 person is dead this morning. Police also tell us that 2 others were taken to Albany Med. Their condition right now is unknown. Take a look at something we noticed as the sun came up. See these surveillance cameras? There's going to be a good shot of whoever did this morning. That's where the detour starts. That's miles back, miles ahead. Police let us go past that detour to give us this live look to show you here this afternoon. You can see that tractor trailer completely flipped over, hanging over an embankment. Ed, closing arguments today are going to be interesting, especially from the defense, because yesterday Cruz ignored his attorney and took the stand in his own defense and basically contradicted everything his defense attorney said in opening statement. This is where police say that shooting happened just before 6 last night. In fact, if you look at the street, the crime scene here, you can see some medical supplies still left in the street here this morning. It's calmed down here. There's not much going on, but this afternoon it was a completely different story. The deputy police chief of the university campus police, he marched with them, and he said that there was one student protester that really stood out. He said, "Chief, we don't want to listen. We just want to be heard."
They're beautiful kids, you know.
The girl's uncle, Bernard Pambury, says there were no signs Monday indicating he and his older brother would wake up to such a tragedy. He told us he spent the day with his sister, 47-year-old Angela Matabu, and her 2 children, Kara and Kotenda, at the park. They went to dinner, ate some ice cream, and played some games. It was about 10:30 Monday night when they all went to sleep.
He actually woke me up, you know, because he had heard some hissing sound. So we went downstairs and we knocked at the door, and she could not answer.
Pambury and his brother called 911, and in minutes, police arrived. They knocked down the downstairs bedroom door to an overwhelming stench and a horrific sight.
When the first responders broke into the bedroom, they encountered a very high concentration of an unknown gas.
And we couldn't, you know, he wanted help. We took the children out to try to do some CPR.
But the medics were unsuccessful. All 3 were taken to Albany Med, where they were later pronounced dead.
See that? So all that.
Police and family believe this murder-suicide stems from an incident that happened April 1st. That's when police tell us Matabu's 23-year-old son, Mitch Guatita, killed himself. 2 months later, police say Matabu called a relative threatening to harm herself and her kids. That threat triggered an Amber Alert.
Angela and the 2 children were intercepted and rescued by the Pennsylvania State Police in Harrisburg.
Social services then took the children, and Matabu was sent for a mental health evaluation. On June 22nd, Angela was allowed back with her family. Monday night was the first night she was allowed to sleep in the same bedroom as her children. Now it's her brothers who are left in the dark, leaving the hospital with only the handprint of each little girl.
These are the last prints, they took at the hospital for them.
In East Greenbush, Jennifer Mullen, CBS 6 News.
Once a year or so, we may end up with a rope rescue operation going on, maybe somebody slipping, falling, and going over the edge.
The Plotterkill Volunteer Fire Chief tells CBS 6 they also execute 8 to 12 search and rescues for lost hikers in 1 year's time.
The trails are there for a reason, and what we find is a lot of individuals don't remain on the trails, and they try to do things that really you need some skill and expertise in order to be able to do.
Chief John Tabison says the nature preserve is filled with narrow and steep trails, and even the smallest amount of rain can make for a dangerous terrain. As for the trail markings,
The markings there are based upon, I believe it's sort of like a difficulty type thing. There's red trails, blue trails, but there's several yellow trails. And the yellow trails all lead to different areas of the preserve, and it's very easy to get confused if you're not aware of the map and how to really follow and be aware of your area.
the chief says when they're called to help, it can be a labor-intensive mission, putting his people at risk. How dangerous are the rope rescues for you guys?
Extremely dangerous. It's like anything else. You're putting any individual on the end of a rope and putting them over the side of a cliff.
Which is why they're asking, in light of another tragedy, for hikers to use their best judgment, honor the dawn-dusk rule, stay on the trails, and never underestimate the dangers that tag along with enjoying nature. Every day inside this barn, they see miracles.
A rider on the horse, he walks along.
Meet James, an autistic 4-year-old who struggles to communicate.
When he was 15 months, he started throwing temper tantrums that were about 45 minutes to an hour and a half long, and nothing at all would console him.
James is one of the many clients that uses the hippotherapy program, one of the methods therapists and volunteers are starting to turn to.
How has this helped James?
James came to us nonverbal, totally nonverbal, wasn't able to have good eye contact, which is one of the problems with children with autism.
Through the program, autistic children like James learn different exercises to better their everyday lives.
Even today with James, I think I've only worked his lessons a few times, but just seeing the progress that he's made, and when he said elephant.
Elephant! Yes!
Yeah, it's just every little thing, it's the littlest thing.
So it's lateral movements like this that help kids like James who have autism to help stimulate those motor skills and even the senses that they need to function on a daily basis.
And James' progress isn't unique. Volunteers at STEP say they've seen children experience their first words.
His father filmed the whole thing, a 45-minute lesson, filmed the whole thing. And at the end, we took him down and we said, "Do you want to say bye to Bert?" And he actually looked up at him and said, "Bert." And his father dropped the camera. We all just lost it.
Go, Bert!
This is a life's mission for me. If this is all I did for the rest of my life, I'd be so happy.
It's very rewarding. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life, seriously.
In Glenville, Jennifer Mullen, CBS 6 News.